So, I'm with Darin Arceneaux, and he is the COO of Capital City Produce, and I'm here to conduct an interview with him.
Actually, the president.
The president?
President.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had the contact with my dad. They said the COO. I knew that. That's awesome.
Yeah, Uncle Paul's the CEO,
Okay.
and I'm the president. So
Nice. So, what did you major in college?
accounting.
Okay.
Yep.
And where'd you go?
Went to Nichols State,
Okay.
and after graduating from Nichols, went passed the CPA exam and started my career.
Interesting. What made you want to go into business?
You know, I just had in high school there was this record keeping class, and I thought it would be easy, and so I took it. And the principles just clicked. The way you organize information, just clicked with me, and I just found that fascinating. I saw so many uses for that. I just got intrigued by it.
And you're probably good at it too. So you're like,
it interested me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I paid attention, and that's really what it was. It was just
Perfect.
Just clicked. I liked it.
Awesome. And what was your first job coming out of college?
Coming out of college was in public accounting. I went to work for a
Okay.
CPA firm, and I'd audit different firms just to make certain, that their financial statements represented the truth.
Okay.
And what I liked about it was I got to meet so many different people, but more importantly, I got to understand the importance of culture in the performance of a company, because I was always in different businesses.
Yeah.
And you could see companies that fundamentally did the same thing, but performed very differently. And I always saw that when you walked in, you felt a difference, And high-performing companies had something that I didn't understand, but I can tell it energized their people, that
Right.
work environment. And the other environment was, other environments, you didn't see the energy in the people. And then when you go and audit their records year after year,
You can just tell.
I just picked up that the culture mattered when it came to performance.
And you mean like the culture within that business?
Within that
how they
business.
operate with themselves and their employees?
How they operated, what they expected of people, how much energy they put into making their employees invigorated about what they were doing, And it could be simple things, One culture, you never saw them celebrate people's birthdays, their employees' birthdays as an example. Another one, I remember a lady being given flowers because she had her 10-year anniversary. And I knew at another company similar to them, that would never happen.
Exactly.
And it was, I was young, I didn't understand it all, but that it was tied to a bigger picture of the flowers. I just thought that one person was doing a nice thing for that one person. I didn't see it as a management philosophy where you celebrated, people who were loyal to you. In fact, today is Miss Clara's 32nd anniversary.
Wow.
Here with the company in the repack area. I sent an email out yesterday to the whole team. Remember, Miss Clara's anniversary is tomorrow, and I need to go out into the warehouse today and go wish her a happy 32nd anniversary. But it was really important that I put that on my radar screen to get done today, because what a shame if it went unnoticed. But that's culture, the little bitty things you do reinforce what truly is valuable to your organization. So coming out of college, I thought I was very fortunate to have that lesson that I really didn't understand, but it just kind of stuck with me and it marinated over time. And as I had more experiences over the decades, it just solidified the importance of start with your people first.
Right.
And your business processes come next, perhaps, and money comes from good people executing good business practices. So it's a great environment for learning.
Yeah, because it gives the employee worth knowing that they're not just another statistic or another number within that company. They're actually you as one of the executives knows their name and also knows their birthday, their personal life, and everything. That makes a huge difference with the overall success of the company.
Yeah, it does. It's people remember the things you don't have to do that you do. They don't remember the things you have to do that you do. So you get more credit by giving someone a $20 birthday cake than you do by providing them health insurance worth $10,000 a year. It's an expectation. A cake is something you don't have to do.
Yeah.
And I find it very interesting that in business, we spend so much money on things that we have to do, and it doesn't leave that lasting impression as much as a simple gesture that you don't have to do.
Wow, that's actually very interesting. I didn't know that. Like, I always knew that, like, you know, making your employees like happy and like making it is very important for the business. But like, you're putting it in a very strategic point of view, which is also, I think, just great because it just shows you the culture of this company as well.
Yeah, we got a long way to go, but you know, it's a solid start. And your grandfather's core values. I mean, if you really believe that, and you know, which I do, and you know, integrity, and it's defined. You respect people. How you respect people. I mean, it's got to be genuine. It can't be fake, and you know, it means you go out of your way to do something for them.
Exactly. That's awesome. So, did you? Where were you right before here?
I was with Associated Grocers as the EVP of operations and their CFO. And I ran all the subsidiary companies that were owned by Associated Grocers. So did that for 22 years. Great company. Really enjoyed it. Learned a lot. And then your Uncle Paul gave me a call. Everything changed.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's good. Have you ever started any businesses of your own or invested in startups?
No, I did invest in a small way in a company that my neighbor had. He was a little out of his league in what he was doing, and so he asked me to invest, and I did. But it was really just an opportunity to coach him. I remember having him over at my house and, you know, just observing some behaviors. I go by the business every now and then and just kind of observe some things and just give him a heads up about, hey, you might want to look at this or that. He wasn't familiar with how businesses work. He was very good at what he did in a blue-collar environment and became successful at it to where he owned this company with some partners. And a very important lesson there. He got defrauded.
Oh, no.
And I was able to show him ahead of time the signs of it. He never believed it was happening. And of course, it was his friends he was in business with. So you got to be careful before you push that envelope.
Exactly.
You just say, hey, maybe you ought to be doing this. I don't really see a need for that. And then he got defrauded, and the whole thing went down in the tubes. And so I just really think, you know, it was a good learning experience for me to help people that you can. There's a guy I've been mentoring for over 8 years now. We meet every first Tuesday every month. And he's got a great family business, but he's very young and running the whole thing. And you know, there's real consequences for people getting involved in high stakes money things.
Exactly.
And maybe don't have all the experiences they need. So you know.
So he has a sole proprietorship, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. And what exactly does he do, if you don't mind me asking?
He owns multiple supermarkets.
Okay, that's cool. And so y'all been meeting for 8 years, you said?
Yeah.
Wow.
I used to meet with his dad before that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I just really enjoy it. His dad's retired and lives out of state now on a ranch he bought, and his son just bought the business from his dad about 8 weeks ago. But you know, he's been building up to this, and so it's been fun to coach him. But
that's awesome.
So no, I've never, you know, other than that small experience, I've never started that. But I always believed in this concept of entrepreneurship, of being the entrepreneur within an organization that has a need for fundamental evolution, but maybe on steroids. Evolution on steroids.
Interesting. That's awesome. And so you said that you also had a role with the entrepreneurial program at LSU, right?
Yeah, sure did.
Could you go into a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, my son was getting ready to get involved with the Stevenson Entrepreneurship Institute at LSU, and I was just curious about it. So I found out who had a big role in it, and I gave her a call, introduced myself, and said, hey, my son's telling me all about this Entrepreneurship Institute. I'm just curious, you know, what that's all about, and what you guys do, and he's got an interest in becoming an entrepreneur, and that led to them asking me to go to lunch, and then that led them asking me to chair the committee, or lead the committee of entrepreneurs that were getting together to provide guidance to the team at LSU that was running an entrepreneurship program.
That's awesome.
And so one thing just led to another, and I did that for a while. It was really fun. Met some good students, interesting students, and some interesting entrepreneurs.
That's cool. And how long did you do that for?
I guess it was 2 years.
Okay, that's totally cool. When you told me that on the phone, I was like, "Ooh, that's gonna be cool." to talk about, because I have heard of that. Our teacher always talks about like the fund, the scholarship. Because right now, a big thing is they're trying to pair. Cause there's not as many entrepreneurial majors, but they're trying to pair it. If you got a different business degree, or even they're getting College of Sciences for you to do a dual enrollment. So you graduate with the entrepreneurial major as well as whatever major you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do that, but I'm a little late because I graduate in December, so like that would add on maybe 2 more years and stuff like that. But this class has been super interesting for me.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome experience, and now they've got the salesmanship thing at LSU that's relatively new as a formal, I guess, specialty is what they'll call it. It's not a degree program. Concentration. Yeah. So that's how it started. My son was in the CIA program. He got a management degree, but then was getting his, got his CIA while he was getting his MBA, and then in undergraduate he got a concentration in entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Now he works for Entergy Corporation in New Orleans.
Okay. I knew somebody that's, doing technical stuff. Like college wasn't for him or anything like that, but he's starting to work for Energy as one of their plant workers, stuff like that. Because he just was like, I got to do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great company.
Yeah, it is. He's involved in process improvement and business analytics.
Okay.
So.
So what would you say your duties are as president at Capital City Produce?
I think the essence of it really is to take a look at the human resources that we have in the organization, particularly my leadership team of 8, and optimize what those guys can get accomplished throughout the business with everybody who reports to them. So, one person who's excellent at just what they do gets one person's outcome. One person who can influence 8 people who can then influence the 230 people who work here.
Wow.
And you've got a totally different dynamic there. So I think fundamentally it's, this mantra we have is no impediments to success at Capital City Produce. So understanding that that's our marching forward mantra.
Yeah.
What are your impediments that we need to remove? And that manifests itself in all kinds of different ways in businesses. And we've just spent 4.5 years that I've been here and trying to accelerate the success of Capital City Produce. We've just really gone down that path of removing impediments, setting KPIs, key performance indicators for everybody, making certain we all have targets, so we're not showing up for work and just doing good people doing good work that produces some good outcome. It's good people doing focused work towards targeted performance objectives and a formalized operating plan, and measuring our KPIs every week in leadership meetings and understanding why we hit targets and why we didn't hit targets. So that is, I guess, put great people together, remove impediments, give them key performance indicators that lets them know what success looks like, and then just get out of their way and nurture that. That's my job.
That's awesome. That's like really cool. What was I going to say about that? Oh yeah. So you said you didn't like the words human resources,
right?
And you changed it to, what was it?
Employee relationships and development.
That's awesome.
And I think that's purposeful. I think just hearing that term, people who report into that department or our team that utilizes that service really realizes what it's all about. So what does human resources mean? I think it's a nondescript term that says humans are resources, which means they're to be utilized and used by other people. I'm not saying it's a bad term, but
it's better.
Employee relationships and development is a whole different connotation when one of our team members goes and engages those people. I'm here for you. I'm here to have a relationship with you, and I'm here to help you develop, because your grandfather's core value of team has in the definition of it that our team means we provide for the personal success of our people. So we have to have a development culture, and if we have time, we can go into how we're actually putting, emphasis and action behind that part of the department name of development. So, and also retention is a big deal. I mean, it's been easily predicted for decades that this time that we're in right now is going to be very difficult for people, because of fundamental analytics and demographics with the baby boomers that had this huge population swell that filled the employment ranks. We're getting to where we're in the middle of those people retiring. They're retiring at the rate of 10,000 people a day.
Wow.
And the next generation doesn't have enough people to fill those roles and responsibilities. So the last of the baby boomers were born in, I think, 1964, technically. So those folks have 11 years before reaching retirement age. So we have 11 years more of 10,000 people retiring a day and maybe having, I don't know what the number, it really don't, let's just say it's 8,000 a day to replenish it. So for, I think, the first time in American history, we've got more job openings than we have people to fill them. So how do you...
It's been the opposite, right?
It's been the opposite path. So unemployment rates are really low. And the country has more wealth, I think, than it's had before, and I think that's changed even parenting styles, where parents give things to kids that diminish and tarnish their independence. So we see young people coming to work here for some reason they can just quit their jobs on the spur of the moment. Who funds that?
Yeah.
And I think we do a disservice to people if we say that, hey, if you fall out of earning income, it's okay, we'll subsidize that. And I think that's part, not anywhere near the whole of an incremental problem on top of the natural demographic issues that we have. So I think as we looked at that trend was going to hit, we wanted to make certain we were solid on what we could do to have a different experience for our people that would cause them to want to stay with Capital City and work here. And I think people fundamentally want a relationship with the person they report to, and they want to know that the time that they're putting into the organization is an investment, and that investment gets realized through their development. And that's hence the name Employee Relationships and Development, which I got a lot of grief over that.
Really?
Because it was so long. They wanted to shorten it. It's like, this means what it means. This is significant that we embrace what this means.
Because if I guess you go to report to a human resources, that's just not as fun as like reporting to the human development, right?
Employee relationships and development.
Yeah, that's a better ring to it. You don't feel like you're going to HR when you're going to them and stuff like that.
Yeah. This high schools have changed from disciplinarian to counselor, right?
Yeah. That's going. Yeah.
That's same. I mean, you're going to the same person. It's just it's been framed for you differently.
Okay. And so with a new business, what would you say is like 2 or 3 of the most important things to be considering?
Well, I think there's got to be a real interest in the person opening that business and what they're doing, because it takes so much energy and so much effort to get a business kick-started. I mean, it's not, when you start a business, you own the whole transaction cycle, from hiring of people to taking the sales order, placing the purchase order. This is huge energy that goes into it, and as an entrepreneur, they're doing that themselves because they generally can't afford to hire people to do it.
Yeah.
So it's an extraordinary effort, extraordinary amount of hours, and I think it's tough to do that and be genuine if it's not something you really enjoy doing. So I think first and foremost is make certain you enjoy doing it, because it's going to be a hard job for you now. I've got, my daughter is got a master's in speech pathology, and her husband has a PhD in audiology. They live in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm coaching them on starting their own business with a clinic that does audiology and speech pathology. And my younger daughter is at LSU, a senior, and she's going to go to OT school, which is a master's degree, and I'm planning a seat with her. Okay, audiology, speech, and occupational therapy in one clinic. And this is the first thing I'm coaching them on. This is an idea that has no merit unless you have 3 things: drive, ambition, and desire to do this more than anything else you want to do. If you don't want to do that, then don't do it. My daughter is struggling because she works as a speech pathologist in the school system, loves her summers off. She has her kayak, and she's got her SUV, and she's hitting
North Carolina.
She's in North Carolina. She's hitting the rivers in her kayak when she gets off of work at 3 o'clock and hiking in the mountains. And she's like, "Dad, that's a trade-off. And if you don't own it, it's not going to be real.
It's going to take work."
So I'd say that's first and foremost. Be passionate about it. Don't chase the shine, chase the car. And once you have that, make certain you've got a good focused idea and you know what you're trying to build and develop, because I think the distraction of it all is just real tantalizing to pursue all the opportunities you can have. And even in this company, at 71 years old, we get presented opportunities to do business, and we have to filter that through the core of why we're in business. And for instance, somebody approached us, wanted us to sell their seafood because we're going to all their customers with our produce trucks. And some people, boy, they bid on that. Man, it's crab meat, it's high margin, it's high sales dollars. And we just said, it's not who we are. I mean, it's a distraction, it's not a focus.
Okay.
So I think understanding what your focus is, so the chase of the distractions is really important. So I'd say that be number 2.
Okay.
And then 3, recognize when the business gets beyond what you can personally do, and understand the type of person that you want to bring in to help you with that. Not necessarily as a partner, but maybe just a teammate. And the learning there is make certain you bring on people for their attributes and not for their skills. In many cases, you have to have the right attributes, and then the skills come second. And I think too often times we hire for skills and we forget about the attributes of the person. So in an entrepreneurial environment, I think you need people with drive, ambition, and desire first, before you have people with maybe technical skills or can do social networking type stuff or develop apps who really don't have the drive, ambition, and desire for that entrepreneurial lifestyle. So I'd say those are the
that's awesome.
3 things, and if I add a 4th, read, and read.
Okay.
Always have new materials in front of you where you're learning, and that's one of the attributes we still have at our company today. Is we are required to read 3 books every year as a team.
That's interesting. That's very special.
Yep.
I've never heard of that before.
We have annual operating meetings. We divide our leadership team up into 3 groups, and each group gets assigned a book, and they have to read obviously the whole book. And then at a leadership meeting, to break up the annual business planning leadership meeting, and just to shake things up a little bit, we inject the presentations by the 3 people teams on their book. And it's not a book report, it's tell me what you learned in the book that would have changed the decision that we've made in our business recently. And tell me about a decision you can envision us making in the future that would be helpful to understand these principles that you learned in the book. So by the time we're done with 3 groups presenting 3 books, everybody's gotten the meat out of
all
3 books with only having to read 1. I read all 3 every year, so I'm fascinated by it. And some of them are difficult, like The Innovator's Dilemma. A really challenging book with a team that has struggled with while we were reading that. But I can't tell you how many times The Innovator's Dilemma came up in our conversations as we looked at bringing in to our business non-produce items. And questions gets asked, why would we do that? I mean, why would we do X or Y? It's just not going to ever be a major profit influence in our business, but yet we're going to do that. And it's in some small way tied to the, hey, you remember the book, The Innovator's Dilemma? And this is the dilemma. You take resources you're investing very profitably in your core business and now invest a portion of those resources in an innovation.
That's interesting. That's really cool. So you think that you definitely are saying that it is very important to have insight from bottom level, I'd say, I don't want to say bottom level, but like the packer all the way up to the executives, all on how they can better the company or how they think it can move more efficiently? Yeah,
absolutely. And if you look at the core value of team, it says we listen to and respond to our team. I think it's absolutely essential, and it particularly ties back to retention. I mean, how many times people go to work for a company and they just said, do this task, and they're never asked for their advice, but over time they become the expert in that particular area of the business. So when I speak to our new hire orientation classes that come through, we talk about that exact part of the core value of team, and that is that eventually you'll become the expert in your area of the business. So feel very comfortable going to the person you report to and saying, I'm not sure I'm following why we do something this way or that way, or I observed it, and have we ever thought about it this way? Because some real good innovation comes from that. And I've given an example of, and when we moved into the new warehouse last year, we didn't realize some productivity standards in a small area of our business, the repack area, where we take full cases and break it down into maybe 4 repacked packages that we sell to 4 individual units now instead of a case to a customer for whatever reason. The productivity in that area wasn't that great, so I came out here at 1:30 in the morning when the order selectors were pulling that order, and I pulled some folks off the production line that was pulling repack and said, hey, we're doing really great with productivity everywhere in the new building. It's meeting expectations except this one particular area. What's up with that? And they explained exactly what was happening. Not only did they explain what the problem was, they offered a solution and then went and explained why their solution was not detrimental to the business. And that was implemented within 1 week.
Wow. And that was something that they had come up with.
The order selector, just because we took the time to ask the question, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
That's a question you don't hear enough in business. People at the top of the organizations just asking people throughout the depths of the organization, what do you think about the area you're involved in? What do you think is a great question.
That's awesome. And what you talked about earlier, the employee advancement, on how you go out with them, you lay out a plan of like what they're going to do, or like to rise in the company to where they're outstanding. Could you go into a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the whole concept of employee development is the genesis for this thought. So I several years ago went ride with a truck driver when I was just first with the organization, and I wanted to understand the dynamics of the business at a really level of depth. Yeah. So I think it was week 3, I rode with a driver and got in the truck, and I said, hey, today I'm 100% working for you. So forget anything else. I want to help you. I'm getting a dolly because I'm hauling produce with you. I'm not here to watch you work. I'm here to work. I want to experience what you experienced. And, you know, as the day went on, he began to trust me because it was the first time he had met. So I asked him, I said, what do you fundamentally want in life? You know, genuine about people developing and advancing at Capital City and living your grandfather's, you know, at that time you didn't have the core values done.
Yeah.
But a sense, you know, just knowing your grandfather from our days on the food bank board over 20 years ago, that I knew there was something genuine about him and the way he would want his people treated. So anyway, just a genuine question. Hey, what do you want out of life, man? And how does Capital City help you get there? And the guy looked at me and he said, Mr. Arceneaux, I got 4 kids and I'm raising them in an apartment. All I want is my own home. I just don't know how to get there. Can you help me get there? And, you know, it was a great moment because it's just a real human moment where there's a person who's at a level in life that's nowhere near where I've been fortunate enough to get to, just saying, if you can help me, that'll be appreciated. Yeah. And so, yeah, I kind of get a little emotional over that because it's so real. But I said, hey, if you would invest a little time with me, why don't you share a few of your ideas that you have on that, because I can't pay you more for your current value, but I can pay you more for real value that you bring to the business. So if you can sit down and think about how a person in your position as a driver can bring more value to the company, I'll be happy to pay you for that value. Wow. And over a series of time, he and I sat down and had a hamburger, and I said, hey, I took all your ideas and I put it into a policy for drivers. Would you mind reading it and see if it encapsulates the opportunity that you're looking for? And the result was we now have drivers tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 driver has a certain set of skills and knowledge about the job, but a tier 2 driver knows how to run all routes in the company, knows the technology well, has training on customer service, so he's better at customer service. He can be utilized when other people call off of work, or we need that flexibility to take him off of standard routes. He knows how to go on another route. And you can earn more for that. And then tier 3 is a driver who knows all of our routes, including the most difficult ones in New Orleans, the French Quarter, which is, you can get ticketed. I just had to help a driver with a $600 ticket in New Orleans yesterday. You can't afford those tickets. But you can, I've been there in New Orleans, you get tickets, you don't even know why you're getting them. But cameras. So you got, you know, it's just parking spaces too. It's not very well marked out in New Orleans. It's almost as if they want to get you sometimes. I'm up to $1,200 in parking tickets in New Orleans, all unbeknownst to me.
All of them to you?
I've gotten to a video where I park now, so I can understand why I got a ticket. So these guys need to know all these things because they can't afford to get these tickets, you know. And so if they know how to run those routes and they know all these nuances and all that, that's tier 3, and they can earn a lot more. So
Wow.
the difference between a tier 1 and a tier 3 driver is like $6 an hour.
Wow.
You know, so
Significant.
yeah, but it's all laid out now, and they understand how they can progress. And, so that's an example of how that all came together. But I love how it started.
Oh, yeah.
It was just with living our core values that we listen to and respond to our team.
Yeah.
Now he went on to mention several other things about the company that he would like to get fixed, and I made notes of that. And then we had a meeting, a quarterly driver meeting, probably 3 months after he and I had rode together. And the guy presenting was going through all the changes and enhancements we made in the business. And the driver I rode with was sitting behind me. And after the guy was done presenting all the changes and enhancements we made in the business, I turned around to the driver behind me and I said, "Did we miss anything you said?" And his mouth just went wide open.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Because you got
We listened
you
to
listened
everything.
him.
Well, some things he asked for we couldn't do. And he
Yeah.
understood that. But let's say he had 6 ideas, and I think that was about right. We implemented like 5 of them.
Wow.
You know,
And that's cool for him to directly see his changes that he suggested being used.
yeah, and that's an employee relationship. I think that's really important
That's
in
awesome.
business.
Okay. Just to switch it a little bit, have you ever, maybe in a different position at a different company or even here, have y'all ever had to deal with an ethical dilemma?
Yeah, we have.
And how would you suggest, or how did y'all get around that?
Well, you deal with it head on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you an easier one to swallow, but you know, it helps having core values. Core values define what you are as a company in your heart and soul. I think companies have to have hearts and souls. I just visited Chick-fil-A's corporate headquarters on Wednesday in Atlanta.
Really?
And their corporate values are very apparent in there. It's a faith-based company.
Mm-hmm.
They don't shy away from that. You know, that's all in there. People know what the company's about. So I think when you have issues that are delicate that come up,
Yeah.
when you're a core value-based company, it's easy to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a company like ours, where we say, you know, integrity, be fair, be honest, and be respectful, if someone violates that in an ethical kind of way, or any kind of way, it's real easy to say, well, that's a pretty major violation, because that's at the soul of who we are as a company. So you deal with it head on. But an easy one, I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. We have 4 core values. The first one is integrity. The next one is the concept of team. The third is customer service. And the fourth is quality of the customer experience. So we were going to have some customers that weren't going to get some products because we just didn't have enough inventory. Just ran short.
Yeah.
And so we had one of our leaders who, thinking of customer service, instructed our repack area, hey, we normally put X number of cucumbers, X
Yeah.
number of cucumbers in a split bag when we take a case and divide it up. We talked about that earlier. So what we're going to do, we're going to put one less in each of the bags, and that way all of our customers can get some product, as opposed to some getting some and not all getting some.
Yeah.
Or some getting none, rather. That sounds right? Doesn't it sound
yeah.
good? Guess what we forgot to do? Adjust the price.
Ooh. So they were still paying them the same amount, but
Full amount.
less.
Totally unintentional. But a new employee in orientation that went through orientation questioned whether or not that met our integrity standards. And so when I went to our leader, I said, hey, tell me about the situation I'm hearing about. He goes, yeah, man, if we wouldn't have done that, we'd have had customers who wouldn't have gotten anything, so we want to make certain we service our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So what about the perception of we gave our customers something less than what they paid for?
Yeah.
And you see them go, oh my God, I didn't think about that.
And it's like,
It clicked. So I said, look, you made that decision. Go down and meet with the repack team with all their level of supervision, from the floor lead all the way up to you, whoever that is, and go in front of them, tell them what happened, tell them how it violated our company's core values, and we don't need to mention intentional or unintentional. It had the perception of not being right, so just own up, it wasn't right, and it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
And we did.
that's awesome.
So I don't know if that's ethical, not ethical, but it could appear from the customer's
Yeah.
point of view to be an ethical thing. I know this, if we hadn't addressed it and the customer found out we did it and they knew we knew that and didn't address it, we would have appeared unethical.
Oh yeah.
And that is not the legacy of your grandfather.
Mm.
And I promised him I'd protect that.
Yeah. You're doing a great job with that too. Like, this place is I can't tell you how amazed I am just with the new offices, and then because I just remember when it was. I honestly remember before they came here to this location when it was on South Choctaw. Like I think they were still. I never went to it, but I remember when he was like, this was like they were breaking ground here or something like that. I was very, very little, but
Yeah, well,
but,
evolution of an idea takes time. There might have been a lot of things that the company wanted to do 20 years ago that it just hadn't evolved to the ability to do it. But that heart and soul was always in the company, and now, 71 years is a lot of time for success to accumulate to where you can do things with it. It didn't happen overnight. So, it's just the company continued to evolve down a path that was already set. The only thing we're doing different today, I think, is we're accelerating what we could have accomplished over 10 years. We're trying to accomplish in 3 or 4 years. And we've made a lot of progress along those lines, and through a lot of means, a lot of data analytics, a lot of being focused about what we're doing. We're accelerating profits in the business, and that's allowing us to reinvest it in ways that are meaningful to people and meaningful to our customers, and that's just brewing more success. So we've just on this accelerated pace of things. So you're probably seeing the acceleration of whispers you might have saw earlier in visits.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say, and how did Capital City, or how do y'all? What I'm trying to say is, it says, do you think that brand awareness is important, and how do y'all do that here?
Yeah, the brand awareness is critical. I think the trucks that we have is our biggest brand builder.
Okay.
And I think everything we need to do needs to reinforce the brand that's built through those trucks. So right now we're redesigning the driver uniforms because we feel that when a driver goes to make a delivery, when he separates himself from the truck, the brand image gets lost because it's not reinforced through what he's wearing. So the uniforms we have now could be on an electrician, a plumber, they're very professionally done, pressed and all that stuff. But it doesn't reinforce the brand image. And the thought is let's change our driver apparel to where when they walk away from the truck, that lime green is still on their shirt. Instead of it being this, predictable AC mechanic or whatever deal, it's a nice dry fit polo shirt, logo with Capital City on it. It's got our colors, and our brand carries forward with that. So there's a lot of excitement around reinforcing our brand and what all it stands for. So we're now starting to affiliate our brand with lifestyle events that are around people who believe in healthy living. So we support the Louisiana Marathon every year as an example. It's just people living great, healthy lifestyles and get out and run either the half or the full marathon. And so we got a fruit booth right in the middle of it where we give away free oranges and bananas and whatever else we have out there, and I make certain that I run it when I'm running it this year. And I personally believe in supporting our brand by being healthy. No smoking, no fast food.
No fast food. No Chick-fil-A this week.
Chick-fil-A is. I don't know if that's fast food. That's a good customer of ours. I think they put a lot of time and attention into freshness there. So
their fruit cups are just the best.
But you're not going to go consume a meal that's going to have 1,500 calories and stuff like that.
When there's something better.
It's just not that way. We implemented wellness programs at Capital City for our employees. In fact, the very first year we did it, we had a driver, Mr. AJ, that came through, and he was immediately sent to the hospital. He had a heart condition that he didn't know of, and at our very next spring fling, we do a spring fling where all the employees come in for a spring event. We boil crawfish, and we have face painters and cupcake food trucks and the whole deal, hamburgers, hot dog. The family came up to me, and the daughter was there and said, I don't believe my dad would be at this spring fling today if he hadn't gone through that little test that y'all did at the work. She didn't know it was called wellness exam. So we do that every year now. That's awesome. An investment in our people, but I think it's an investment in our brand that we sell healthy products, which we can be proud of, and we promote healthy living by our team, and we support lifestyle events that support healthy lifestyles. So don't know if that's where you're going with the question of how do we build our brand and our image, and it's through all those various aspects.
Yeah, because I always see you on LSU's campus with the little tent right in front of the union on like helping, I guess, getting more greens, which is the problem coming from a college student here. Like cooking is, it takes a while. I've got studies to do too, but like I think that is a big brand awareness too, because like they're getting it in their heads. They see this company too, that they see the trucks going through, all of Baton Rouge and the surrounding area, and to actually have that you or the company kind of pushing in like, hey, you might be in college, but eat your greens. Here's the vegetables. Here's how you can cook some.
And they sell out too, because we do that at LSU, we do it at Tulane,
really,
we do it at ULL, Nickel State, all these various universities around. So we're associating our brand with young people and getting them into where a lot of the universities will make certain there's a chef there at the tent, not that they're working it, but they're around, and students have access to them. I was at the Tulane market a couple of weeks ago, and they had a student saw the chef there and asked him, hey, I saw you prepared this a certain way. Can you tell me how to do that? And the chef was engaging with the student on how to prepare that particular piece of produce to the way that they had seen it done, I guess, at Rough Commons, their student dining hall, or whatever. So it's a neat way to engage that younger, energetic, and generally more healthy than the older people crowd. So it's all great brand building.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and like a little segue off, do you think that Baton Rouge is a good place for a new company to start up? Or would you say that it depends on what they're trying to sell or what they're trying to do? I'm trying to see what the market looks like for Baton Rouge.
I think the Baton Rouge market is good because there's a lot of people that want to immediately be a fan of someone who's trying to start something new and fresh, and they see a young entrepreneur. There's a lot of support for that. They want to do that. I think I've heard an entrepreneur talk about his tech business, that as it got built bigger, it became a challenge in recruiting talent, because the talent would look at his company and say, okay, I love what you're doing, but if it doesn't work out, where else do I go and be employed? Yeah. And they felt like, that entrepreneur was saying some of the people they try to recruit feel like they're kind of then locked in, and their next move would be another relocation. I think that's dissipated some, particularly in the tech sector with IBM moving in. Yeah. So I think that would be interesting as someone envisions building their company. Is there a talent pool here that they can attract in consideration of those concerns? And I think you would have that concern if you get recruited away to some town and they had some unique business there and there was no other way to do it outside of that company. It's going to roll through your head. Yeah. But no, I think Baton Rouge has made great progress on that. I think downtown has become more vibrant, so not only the business climate, but the social culture of Baton Rouge has evolved quite a bit with everything that's going on downtown and 3rd Street. I personally run every Tuesday night a Happy's Run, and there's a bunch of young people down there. We're some of the elders, but we run and we beat the pants off a lot of those younger guys. We go drink beer in the courtyard after and have a good time. But it's just a good vibe, man. I really got to have a good reason to miss that and not go downtown for the Happy's because it's just fun. But it's really neat to see so many young people doing that. And so I think, on the business side, we've evolved a lot. I'd like to think it's a great place to start a new business. On the cultural side, I think we evolved quite a bit. I think there needs to be maybe a little bit more tolerance for thinking that is fresh and different than what Baton Rouge has had in the past. I think there just needs to be maybe a little bit more tolerance by the protector generation, so to speak. That comes with time.
Well, those are most of my questions. This is just the last question I have is, would you be interested, of course not this semester, but next semester, even next year, like coming to an entrepreneurship class and just talking about what you've been doing as a business and everything?
Yeah, sure.
I'd love to hear from you, especially since you were running the scholarship and everything like that.
Yeah. So absolutely, man. Give me a call if ever I can help. I've gone there before with Capital One Bank, Capital One Bank executive who's now retired, Rob Stewart, and spoken to some business classes over there. So love doing it, would enjoy it. So, but I think business is a great thing to go into because it is it's unlimited potential. You know, there is no earnings cap on owning a business. You know, it's something that will continue to reward you as you invest in it with your time, talent, energy, brain power. It's just, it's not something that taps out. And I think it makes it exciting.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been awesome.
You're welcome.